Concerns about sending oil 1,100 miles through the middle of the United States. More than 24 protesters, in fact, gathered outside Senator Landrieu's Washington home yesterday, and they actually set up a giant inflatable pipeline running 30 feet. And joining me now is Ian Goodman, an energy expert who worked on a Cornell University study of Keystone. Thank you so much for your time.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let me ask off the top, Ian, what is the #1 myth you believe exists regarding Keystone that is either lost on the American public or lost on the lawmakers on Capitol Hill?
Well, there's many myths, but the myth I've focused on is the number of jobs that Keystone will produce. It's been claimed it will produce a huge number of jobs and have a major impact on the U.S. economy. In fact, it will produce a very small number of jobs and not have a significant effect on the U.S. economy.
So then where does the storyline that thousands of jobs, even if they are temporary, where does that come from? How are those numbers crunched and exist despite the extensive research you and others have done to prove otherwise?
Well, part of the problem is when you build a pipeline, you get some jobs right on site constructing it, and those are easy to measure. But you also get jobs spread through the economy, and you can't measure those directly. So you need to use economic models. There's a lot of judgment involved. In the case of Keystone, most of the jobs won't be on site, and these jobs are much harder to measure, and they're easier to overestimate.
So when you're looking at, as you pointed out, those construction jobs that some have quoted in the thousands, the numbers are about, according to the State Department, 4,200. It would create, though, only 50 permanent jobs to operate that pipeline after it is built, 35 permanent employees and 15 temporary contractors. I do want to play a comment we just got in from Senator Barbara Boxer, of course, of California, moments ago. She is voting against Keystone Pipeline. Let's play that.
In my case, I was thinking, what does XL stand for? They named it the Keystone XL. It has no meaning, but to me it's extra lethal. And my debate will show why as you analyze the tar sands oil that is going to be coming into this nation, 45% more than we have now.
And again, I know your focus is on this issue of the jobs and not the other part of the conversation, the major part, the environmental concerns. The president, when he was in Myanmar, said that he understands the concerns of this project, but he goes on to say that this is oil that Canada will pump through the United States and be sold everywhere else. Going back to the job creation debate on this, you compare this to a project like building a subway system in Washington, D.C., for example, or even the project on Dulles Airport, or basically a major highway project, not, this mirage that many have put it up as jobs that people will be able to flee to throughout the country.
Exactly. This is a project that involves spending several $1 billion. It's on par with a local transportation project in terms of spending and in terms of jobs. We're not having a national debate about building a subway line in the suburbs of Washington or in New York or a highway project. So it's an illusion to think that this one pipeline is going to have a big impact on the national economy.
What about those like Senator Hoeven, who say, obviously he's a co-sponsor of this bill with Senator Landrieu, that there are indirect jobs that we're not factoring in? First, let me play what he said on Morning Joe just this morning. Let's play it.
There's both direct and indirect jobs. Some are permanent, some are temporary. But understand the economic benefit goes far beyond the direct job creation. It's about energy. It's about producing our energy here at home, working with our closest friend and ally, Canada.
Again, setting aside the energy debate, which you're especially going back to the numbers here, this notion of indirect jobs, what did you find in your research?
Those have been factored in the research we did and also in the State Department's numbers. There will be about 2,000 jobs per year for 2 years actually building it on site. There might be as many as 11,000 jobs elsewhere in the economy, and that includes jobs off-site. It includes jobs in the supply chain, like building and delivering valves for the pipeline. It includes jobs even with the workers re-spending their wages, such as at a motel where the pipeline workers are staying. So even if you include all these spin-offs, you still get very small jobs numbers.
All right, Ian, thank you so much for your time. We greatly appreciate it as we weed through some of the fact and fiction related to this pipeline and now this hurried vote after waiting some 6 years that we're seeing play out in the Senate. Thank you very much for your time, Ian. And developing now, the president is meeting with his national